Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Timoteo. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tim Marc, and I have the great joy and pleasure of serving as minister of this progressive spiritual church community known as the Unitarian Universalist Church in Fresno, California. Welcome, welcome. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. I'm so glad you're with us this morning. Our service is going to begin in just about 3 minutes. So you have time, if you have not yet friended us, made us your Facebook friend. We want to be your Facebook friend. Don't you want us as your Facebook friend? So make us your Facebook friend. And as I said last week, I want you to do something a little bold, a little daring. Take this live stream and share it with all of your Facebook friends. Now, I know that that's kind of bold. It may even feel a little pushy, but all you're really doing is offering them an invitation to join you here at church today. They don't have to accept. They can say thanks, but no thanks. But what if there's one of those friends out there who needed to hear the message of Unitarian Universalism, the good news of Unitarian Universalism, what I like to say, the saving news of Unitarian Universalism. If you never invite them, they're never going to know that they could have been here with you today. So be bold, be daring, invite all of your friends to this live, share all of this live stream with them. So I'll be back. We'll all be back in about 3 minutes for the start of the service. So until then, enjoy Lorenzo, enjoy the music. See you soon.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Hola, buenos dias. Mi nombre es Ida Jones. I'm Ida Jones, and I serve gratefully as president of your board of trustees. If you walk up the front walkway to our sanctuary in Fresno, the first word you see on a plaque embedded into the cement is amor, love. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. We affirm that love is the doctrine of this church. As you walk further up the walkway, you see additional plaques with all the words of our church covenant, the promise we make to each other, to Fresno, and to the Central Valley. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. We affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. We strive to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros. This is who we are as Unitarian Universalists, and this is who we are as members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. If el amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia, if love is the doctrine of this church, what does el amor, this love, require of us? If, as Cornel West says, justice is what love looks like in public, what does love and justice require of us? I want to explore this for a moment. I'll start with examples of love, justice, and democracy, and I will end with challenges to you, my church family and friends. This week I've been attending General Assembly, the national meeting for my Unitarian Universalist faith. That attendance has been virtual, as consistent with our policy of protecting those who are most vulnerable against us by refusing to hold large in-person gatherings. During this time, I learned that Althea Bernstein, a young Unitarian Universalist in Madison, Wisconsin, who was also attending General Assembly, was brutally attacked and burned in what police believe is a hate crime because of her mixed race status. I experienced such sadness and anger. Explicit racism rears its ugly head again. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large is one of the 7 principles of the UU faith. It's frustrating that voter suppression continues to happen. Just one example. The Texas legislature banned voting by mail except for limited circumstances. When that law was challenged, the Texas Supreme Court agreed with the law, even though voting in person is more likely to expose voters to the COVID-19 virus. Last week, the United States Supreme Court refused to even consider the decision by the Texas Supreme Court. So voting by mail is illegal in Texas. Last week, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno reaffirmed its commitment to democracy when the church was restored to its status as a voting sanctuary. Because of the church's lawsuit, Fresno County agreed that our church would again be a location where citizens could vote by placing their ballots in a ballot box located on the church campus. That restoration was only right because removal of our status as a polling place was wrong in the first place. Fresno County deprived us of our status as a polling place because of our Black Lives Matter banner. By displaying the banner, we publicly recognize the unfair treatment of Black people in this country, and that love requires that we acknowledge that before the community and the world. However, we're compelled to do more as more white people in this country have responded to the fact that Mr. George Floyd was killed by a gang of police and that police have been engaged in these types of killings for a long time. To show our support for the Black Lives Matter movement, we have held vigils on Friday nights. But what else are white allies required to do in the name of love and justice? This week's sermon is titled Beyond Banners, a service for change and challenge. So I raise the following challenges to you to help eliminate racism. One challenge is to watch documentaries and read articles and then discuss what you've learned with your family and friends. Even better, watch those documentaries and read those articles with your family and friends. You could potentially discuss what you watched or read with a Black friend, but please ask that friend first and respect their response, whether it's yes or no. Many Black people who are actively living and working in the white community have been emotionally and physically exhausted trying to live with the constant reminders of racism evidenced by the continued killing of Black people, by doing what we can to support our Black families and friends, and by responding to requests from well-meaning white friends. Another challenge. Educate your children and grandchildren about the history of racism in this country. Watch a film, discuss what you've watched, and encourage conversation about what you have done or what will do to make a difference. Ask them what they think they could do to make a difference. I challenge you, if you're on social media, to use it as a platform to call out racism. That racism may be evidenced by the comments of family and friends. Educate them. I challenge you to locate and support Black businesses, Black politicians, and Black organizations. I challenge you to join letter writing campaigns on issues of policing, voter suppression, economic injustice, environmental racism, climate change, bail policies, and other issues that disproportionately impact Black lives and the lives of people of color. Take on my challenge as a way to show your love and your commitment to justice. This is the time in our service when, before we light our chalice, we turn and say good morning and welcome each other. We welcome each other no matter our race, age, cultural background, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We welcome each other no matter our spiritual beliefs or religious upbringing. We welcome each other no matter our differing abilities, documentation status, level of education or income or lack thereof. We welcome each other into our sanctuary of memory, hope, and vision. So this morning, it is my true joy to welcome you, whoever you are, however you came to be in this church community. You are welcome here.
We gently move from Ida's home to the Taylor home as we begin our service this morning.
Hi everybody, I'm Ethan, a member of our high school youth group. I'm also a parking lot volunteer at our Friday night vigils of Allies of the Black Lives Matter movement. Welcome to my home. I'm excited to be with you this morning as we begin our Sunday service. Let me introduce my family. This is my sister Evelyn, my sister Maddie, and my mom Leah, my dad Ryan. And together, we are the Taylor family.
If you have a candle or a chalice with you at your home, you might want to pick it up and hold it in your hands.
The chalice is an ancient symbol. The chalice predates Christianity, and its pagan origins represent the divine feminine, the earth mother, the goddess, the cosmic womb from which sprang all creation.
The flame is a symbol of masculine energy. It represents the fire of love in the human heart and also the light of reason, our mind's ability to think and discern for ourselves what is right and true.
We like to say that we are the church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We try to live in ways that makes this true. That isn't always easy, but that is the challenge of being a Unitarian Universalist.
We light this chalice from our home to your home. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of possibility of hope, challenge, and change that we can discover in this, our brand new day.
Let's join together and sing our song of praise. When the Spirit says do.
Lourin will lead the singing, and Merina, Jenny, Stephen, and Lorenzo will offer 4 different ways for us to clap our hands. Pick the rhythm you like and clap along.
So, when the Spirit says do.
You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Gotta sing, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Gotta dance, you gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Gotta laugh, you gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Gotta march, you gotta march when the Spirit says march. You gotta march when the Spirit says march. When the Spirit says march, you gotta march, oh Lord. You gotta march when the Spirit says march. Gotta vote when the Spirit says vote. You gotta vote when the Spirit says vote. When the Spirit says vote, you gotta vote, oh Lord. You gotta vote when the Spirit says vote. Gotta do, you gotta do if the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do what the Spirit says do.
Hola, soy Dani. Howdy folks, Dani here. In 1968, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many others called for a revolution of values in America. They sought to build a broad fusion movement that could unite the poor and impacted communities across the country. Their name was a direct cry from the underside of history, the Poor People's Campaign. Today, the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, has picked up this unfinished work. From Alaska to Arkansas, from the Bronx to the border, people are coming together to confront the interlocking evils of racism, poverty, and economic disaster. With the understanding that as a nation, we are at a critical juncture, that we need a movement that will shift the moral narrative, impact policies and elections at every level of government, and build lasting power for poor and impacted people. Unitarian Universalists have been on the front lines of both campaigns. We honor the memories of James Reeb and Viola Luzo, Unitarian Universalists who were murdered after marching in Selma in the wake of Bloody Sunday, by continuing the work of this movement. Both the civil rights movement of the 1960s and the moral revival of today have invoked the spiritual tool of music as motivation. Songs stir our spirits, challenge our ideas, and give us strength to act in moments of fear, reminding us to stand in solidarity with one another. One of the most impactful songs of the 1960s time of social uprising was Times They Are A-Changing by Bob Dylan. As we sing together, let us wonder, what are we doing to be that needed change?
Come gather around people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you'd better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changin'. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, And keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. And there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will later win, and the times they are a-changin'. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle their walls, for the times they are a-changin'. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, and the present now will later be past. The order's rapidly fading. The first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changin'.
Last Saturday, songs and stories stirred the spirits of tens of thousands of folks who gathered at the Poor People's Assembly virtual march on Washington. Previously, during the summer of 2018, Poor People and Moral Witnesses committed themselves to a season of direct action to relaunch the Poor People's Campaign, co-led by the Reverend William Barber and Reverend Liz Theo Harris. Our congregation sent Reverend Tim to Washington, D.C. at the May 14th rally and kickoff. He, along with National UUA President Susan Frederick Gray and other Unitarian Universalists from across the country, were arrested for their nonviolent protest of the government's failure of leadership. Our congregation also heeded the call to action, sending busloads of congregants to the state capitol for one of the weekly protests and actions. For that, I am so proud of this church. Yet, it is not enough to rest on the laurels of the past. Yes, our church and denomination has done good work, but there is still a great amount of work to be done. We must continue to heed the call when those who suffer cry out. Let us again use songs of protest to inspire us. This one was sung last Saturday at the Poor People's Assembly. Everybody's got a right to live. As you hear the music, I entreat you to not just passively listen, but to sing, clap, move your body, and ignite your imagination, opening yourself up to its message and reminding you of the work that there is still to be done. Dig into your heart and to your courage, asking yourself, how will you make sure that everybody has the right to live, love, learn, and dream?
Because this campaign is paying homage to the old and the new, we think about the then and the now of a movement. We're bridging the gap between 1968 and 2018, which is 50 years of just revolution and 50 years of activism. So we also incorporated a new part that incorporates hip-hop, a little hip-hop aspect to it. So to bring the old with the new. So when we get to that, we'll teach you how the words flow and go.
So your words are, first, everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Because everybody has a right to live. You got that?
Got that.
All right.
And so then the second part will be everybody's got a right to live, and then you all will say to live. And then everybody's got a right to love.
To love.
Everybody's got a right to dream. To dream. Everybody's got a right to learn. To learn. Got it? All right.
There we go.
Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. To live. Everybody's got a right to dream. To dream. Everybody's got a right to love. To love.
breathing together an in breath as we breathe into that truth that everyone has a right to live. And we exhale. Again, breathing deeper into that truth that everyone has the right to live. We hold that breath just a moment, access our love in the heart, and breathe that love into the world. And one more time, breathing into that ever-present truth that everyone has the right to live. Hold your breath just a moment. Let it find the love in your heart. And exhale that love into our beautiful and broken world. As we continue breathing together on this Sunday morning, as we create, even in a deeper way, that sanctuary of hearts created by breath and intention, in hope and with dreams, I invite us to breathe into two questions. The first, breathing in, where did you see or experience tenderness in the last week? And now breathing into our second question, how did you offer tenderness in the last week? If you either saw, experienced, or offered tenderness in this last week, would you just hit the letter T in the comment box? T for tenderness. And as we take another deep breath in and exhale, we breathe now into this time of sharing our joys, our sorrows, our gratitudes. If there is something personal that you'd like to share this morning, I invite you to just type that in the comment box. If you're referring to someone else, be sure to not use their last name in order to protect their privacy, because this is, after all, Facebook streaming live. This was a week of success, a week of victory. On Thursday, Fresno City Council voted to fund Advance Peace, that innovative and already successfully proven in other cities program of working with high-risk young men at risk for gun violence, and through mentoring and showing them another way to understand their lives, the rate of gun violence is reduced. So we thank the 5 city council members who voted yes. We know the 1 city council member who foolishly voted no. And now I urge Mayor Brand to not veto Advance Peace a second time. If you would like to urge Mayor Brand to support Advance Peace, just type AP in the comment box. AP. And speaking of watershed moments, I guess you could say, this Tuesday, the ACLU, representing the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, was able to reach settlement with Fresno County to have the church brought back into the democratic process here in Fresno County. As you know, for a number of years, we served the county as a polling place, living into one of our Unitarian Universalist principles that says that we affirm and promote the use of the democratic process in our congregations, but also in society at large. And then the county got one complaint, a complaint about our Black Lives Matter banners, a complaint that called Black Lives Matter movement a terrorist organization, and Brandy Orth, the clerk of elections, took away our right to be a polling place. She asked us to cover up. She asked us to take down the banners on Election Day in 2018. And we said, no way, never are we going to step away from a statement of our religious values that affirm and promote the worth and dignity of each person, that affirm that Black Lives Matter. And so Brandy Orth said no, and we were taken away. We were stripped of our right to serve Fresno County as a polling place. After the November 2018 election, a group of concerned interfaith, interracial clergy went and tried to have a conversation with the county to explain why the decision was an attack on the church's First Amendment rights of free religious expression, but also how that decision was an affront to the Black citizens of Fresno. That conversation fell on ears unwilling to hear painful truth that was being shared. And so, in June of 2019, on our behalf, the ACLU filed a lawsuit against Fresno County for violating our First Amendment rights. Countless hours were spent by the ACLU and our pro bono law firm that was supporting them, preparing the case, researching documents, and doing and representing staff and church members as they were deposed by county council. Likewise, our legal teams were deposing county staff. And then the world as we knew it changed. In March, COVID-19 struck at the heart of the United States of America and also here in Fresno. And then just a few weeks ago, we watched George Floyd murdered by the knee of a police officer, and our country exploded into a social justice reckoning and uprising. Suddenly, the movement for Black Lives Matter took center stage across the country. And here in Fresno, our banners took on new significance. At the suggestion of church member and at the invitation of church member Karen Polnitz, we began a series of Friday night vigils inviting Fresnans to come and stand in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. And we spread out along Alluvial Avenue, proclaiming our truth, the challenge. Black Lives Matter. Our Friday night vigils were just a tiny part of a larger citywide effort coordinated by the amazing students who were members of the Fresno State NAACP chapter, who are the leaders and the voice of the Black Lives Matter movement here in Fresno. And we are happy that we've been able to support their extraordinary work citywide as protests, marches, art projects, and vigils began to spring up all around the city over these last weeks. And then a week ago, the historic moment when the city council voted to proclaim Black Lives Matter Day, and the city leadership invited activists to come down and paint a Black Lives Matter sign, the name Black Lives Matter, on the street at City Hall. If that was a day that fills your heart both with joy and also with the understanding is that is just one tiny step in a long and hard journey and fight that lies ahead. If you want to acknowledge that, just type the letters BLM, Black Lives Matter, in the comment box. And while all of this is unfolding here in Fresno, across the country, there are rallies and marches and demonstrations, some of them peaceful, some of them violent, some of them a mixture of both. We see aggressive military-type responses coming from some police departments. We see abuses of power in Washington, D.C. We see the National Guard being set against citizens in ways that were immoral and inhuman. And while all of this is happening, behind the scenes, working hard, pressing the county, is our legal teams. First, the ACLU team, Molly Lee, Angelica, Zelcida, and Christina Flites. And then our pro bono team from Riley, Safer, Holmes, and Cancela, Steve Hankins, and Andrew Wu. On Tuesday of this week, it was announced that the ACLU had reached a settlement with Fresno County. We are being invited back into the democratic process. Again, the church will serve the voters of Fresno County. We will be the site of a 700-pound ballot drop box for the next 2 presidential election cycles and any special elections in between. And as the headline of the Fresno Bee proclaimed, justice has won the day. Black Lives Matter. If you'd like to help us mark this moment, just type the number 1 in the comment box. Type the number 1 in the comment box. And as those ones are flowing, we want to take a moment now to look internally to those church members who are having a tough time, struggling, or simply need to be thought of with love and light and care. And so we hold our beloveds in our hearts, thoughts, and prayers. This week we also mourn the loss of a longtime church member, Virginia Biggs. She's not been here for many years, but when she was such an active, committed person of the church, a church leader, always there, always ready, a true pillar of the church. She is missed by those who knew her and loved her. This week also marked the 5th anniversary of marriage equality in this country. June 26, 2015, announced while we were at General Assembly in Portland, Oregon. It is our custom to thank those who are first responders during this COVID crisis, also thanking those who work in the medical care industry, taking care of so many, saving the lives of so many while their lives are at risk. We want to also thank today a specific group of people who are making a difference this summer during COVID, the summer food distribution at the schools, the volunteers and the staff who are making that possible. And I want to give a shout out to Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. We had a team distributing food this past Monday, and we'll be doing it again in July, the 4th Monday in July, if you'd like to help and volunteer. And so for all that has been shared, for all that we hold in the sacredness of our own hearts, the silence of our own hearts, and for all those who have no one to remember them on this Sunday morning, no one to speak their name with gentleness or love, we light our candle of community by our remembering. May we and they be blessed. We light a second candle this morning, and this candle burns for the over 500,000 citizens of the world who have lost their lives in this pandemic. It is our custom here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno to remember those church members who have passed into the mysteries of death and to acknowledge the first anniversary of that passing. And so this morning we light a candle for longtime church member Ed Gammon. Ed grew up on the Oregon coast. He earned a PhD at Stanford and came to Fresno with his wife Lottie, and he served as a professor of linguistics at Fresno State. He raised his kids here in the Central Valley. They learned to go skiing on Mount Hood. They learned to kayak on the Kings River. After his retirement, Ed enjoyed working in the garden. He taught himself ancient Greek. He rediscovered his love for singing. And we lift up the name of Ed Gammon, even as we know that he is mourned by his children, Michael and Ruth, and all those who knew him and loved him. And so, In the memory of love and in the light of these candles, we sing our song, our call to meditation, meditation on breathing.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Cuando respiro, respiro paz. Cuando exhalo, exhalo amor. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Cuando respiro, respiro paz. Cuando exhalo, exhalo amor. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Cuando respiro, respiro paz. Cuando exhalo, exhalo amor.
Let us join together in the spirit of mindfulness and prayer. Spirit of life, fuente de amor, God of our own heart's understanding, help us hear the rhythm that is life. Help us hear the cycles that is life. Help us hear and feel and experience the dance that is life, that dance between the joy and the sorrow, that dance between the pain and the exaltation, that dance that moves us through the brokenness to the beauty, the dance between justice and truth, between anger and indignation, and love and of hope. O Spirit of life, place us solidly and hold us gently in the great dance that is life. We're calling today's service Beyond Banners, a service for change and challenge. And during this time of Black resistance, white people are being called to stand as allies in support of Black leadership guiding our way forward. Part of that spiritual challenge for white folks is to really center the voices of persons of color. And that's what we're doing today with our two guest speakers. They are two Black Unitarian Universalist leaders who are leaders at the national level. They're not members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, but they are leading the larger denomination during this time of social change and challenge. I'm excited for you to meet and hear Everette Thompson. He is the Unitarian Universalist Association's National Side with Love campaign manager. And he is going to talk about how we can respond in this moment, at this moment. And as we listen to his words, I invite you to hold this question in your heart. How do these words touch or challenge your own life at this time?
Thank you to everyone who's providing a space and an opportunity for me and all of us to come together in this moment. My name is Everette Thompson. I am your Side with Love campaign manager. And love requires us to struggle. Love requires us to stretch. Love requires us to actually understand our own boundaries and to stay porous, letting things in and letting things out. If you've ever been in love, you know love will shape you and it will sometimes make you cry. But in the end, when you can find that sweet spot, that place where you want to come to over and over again, love makes it all worth it. It is from this place of love that I come and I speak with us, collective us, and extend love to the folks who are out on the front lines and the fence lines, out to the folks who are saying, for the love of our children's children. And for me, when I think about, I'm a proud Southerner. I'm a Black father of a beautiful Black son. And I think about the love that y'all are doing in the streets for my son Elijah, for my godson Isaac, for my nieces Avani and Sarah and Sabina, for Javon and for little Michael. I also think about in this moment, from moments past in my lineage as a Southerner by birth and by choice, someone spoke my name. My great-grandmother and my great-great-great-grandmother spoke my name into existence. And they too, when they were, as we would say, rioting, I like to say, when they were taking back their humanity, in the midst of all this, they were saying my name and they were out in the streets or out in the fields saying, we're not going to plow no more. We're not going to work no more until you see me fully as I am, as a woman, as a man, as a gender non-binary person. You need to see me. In this moment, when I think about what has brought us to this place, and although I sit in a Southern seat with my Southern drawl, I am very clear that, you know, wherever you are on this continent, there has been a place of rebellion due to the fact of othering and saying that others' humanity is not worthy to be fully recognized, and your bodies need to be policed, and that you, my friend, are capital. And so when I look at this moment from my lens, I go back to remembering my lineage. I go back to the place of Reconstruction. And some would say, well, Everett, why would you go to Reconstruction? So for me, that was somewhat of a highlight. And actually, I believe we're still in a Reconstruction moment, right? Reconstruction, you know, when folks said, hey, you're no longer slaves, when folks said, hey, to some of our beautiful indigenous tribes and said, you can have your sovereign nation. When folks said, hey, we see you not more than chattel. However, we still don't trust you, so we're going to monitor your coming and goings. We're going to surveillance you. We're going to like actually evolve our laws so that you still can't marry, so that you still have to fight for the right to vote, so that you still have to have the wounds. Although under the guise of providing opportunity, some of us, and I say us because, you know, my people are in me and they're around me right now. Some of us believe that we actually could hit this opportunity. See, we believed what the government told us. How many times have we believed across, you know, from someone else, the lie, thinking that just this time something would be different? So how did we come to this moment? So again, Reconstruction, when we think back, this was also a time of over 80% of Black people were registered to vote. And you see formerly enslaved folks actually learning the Constitution, understanding all the intricate ways of what it meant to actually be human and to be a citizen of these United States and saying, I want that. This was the opportunity that were presented to folks to say, yes, you are here and you have actually arrived. There was never a, I'm sorry. There was a, you have arrived. There was never a reparations. There was, now you can have this. There was never a reckoning. And also, let's be clear, it was from a place of fear because they were tired of Black folks and our comrades of actually scorching the land, right? Of saying, we will not, only will we not work, we will actually burn this all down. And that's the economy, right? And so we can't talk about this moment without talking about the economic understanding, the political understanding. So politically, there were moves to allow folks to become semi-human. And then there was also structure, as some of y'all presidents said, law and order. In which they actually began to put law and order in place. So you start to see the patrols, you start to see the Jim Crow laws, you start to see the actual clamping down on where people will go. You start to see also the rebellion of our folks. So this moment is a continuation of a rebellion of people saying how wherever they sit on the spectrum, I am human. See me as a human as I am, and I deserve not only to breathe, but to thrive. You see me in this moment of saying, even as COVID-19 goes across the nation and a country and countries, their inability to actually prepare and actually protect our people because they don't see us as being human, collective us. We see this systemically when you look at food deserts across the country. We see this systemically when you look at ICE and people, our kids in cages. When we think about immigrant justice, we see this systemically when we think about trans and gender non-conforming folks not being able to actually work so they can have a life, not being able to actually thrive in the places they are, not being able to have access to healthcare. We see this systemically when our brothers and sisters and siblings who are disabled not being able to have access to actually be able to participate fully. We see this when our indigenous brothers and sisters are saying, give us our sovereignty since you've taken our land and stop poisoning us. This, what we're seeing right now, is not a riot. It's a rebellion. It's a reclaiming of our humanity. And wherever you are with your proximity to whiteness, I say this as a Black man who has a Black son whose mother is white, and with that proximity to whiteness, it will not save him and it will not save her. But the question becomes to her in this moment, as well as many of you, what more must you do to align what we say in our shirts, what we say on our Facebook pages what we say in our theoretical ramblings to make it so. So how do we actually uphold the humanity of all of us? It means, yes, we not only do we need to look at who we're voting into DAs or who we're voting in, we also need to look at who is holding these city structures, who are holding the people and the police accountable. How are we militarizing each one of these places? It's asking us in our neighborhoods, do we actually know our Black and brown neighbor, not from a bolo, be on the lookout, but from a I see you and I want to make sure you're covered. It means that it's not just about when folks are coming to your congregations because their face is different than yours. Do you stare at them and say, I hope you stay? But you actually think about, how do you make this place a place of hospitality for the long term? So it's not a question of whether they will stay. It's the question of, we will never leave because we feel seen and held here. So kindred, I'm calling us into this moment the same way our people on the streets, young and old and in between, are longing and crying for us to say, see us in our humanity. Not for a moment, but for our full lives. Not for now, but for our children. Not just because it is the hip thing to do, it is the photo op to do, but it is our moral calling. It is our inherent worth. I say this again from a place of, love and care, of agitation and rage, of jokefulness, but also seriousness. Because at the end of the day, my life, not only does it matter, because I know that, I don't need you to tell me that. I am going to take that back, because not just my life, my son's life and daughter and other, and they matter. And for that, I am saying this political home and the place that we're in this moment, we can create a new possibility. No one thought back. I'm always amazed of what my great grandmama thought about and dreamed about when they were enslaved, to think that this could be true. So we can say we can have something different. There is new possibilities, and the possibilities are endless. I want to say so much love to Blue, Black Lives, and UU, to Drum, to ARE, to the folks who have been on the front line and also helping to shape this place here as the UU faith, to actually uphold themselves to a standard that's not just about theory, but it's about practice, but also it's the praxis in between the two. I want to say, wherever you are, don't get turned away because you don't understand. Turn in and know that there are folks willing and ready to help hold and move. And I don't like holding too much, but I do like to push a little bit, right? Because we want to make sure that we are actually stretching ourselves, right? I'm only 5'1", but I keep stretching, thinking I'm going to get 6'2". So we want to stretch ourselves, stretch our heart from the front side to the back sides. We want to stretch our imagination and stretch our faith, so that we're not just talking about God swing low. We're saying this is a beautiful place that we can all be in and we can thrive. I hope you will journey with me, those who are willing and those who are able. I hope that there's a balm that you can also touch into. And if you ever feel like you are alone, please know that you can tap into the wisdom that is all around you, and you're never alone. And we are going to get through this together. We will look totally different. And that's all right. Every piece of gray hair that I get, I look totally different, but I'm like, I'm all right. And so will you. So please, we will continue. I'm sending you love and grace and peace, but most of all, agitation, so that we can get to the other side. Be well and be better, family.
Cornel West tells us that justice is what love looks like in public. And so as we sow the seeds of love, we also are called to sow the seeds of justice. So let's join our voices with Lorenzo and sing, "Sowing the seeds of love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our heart is our guide. We are sowing the seeds of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith we dare to proclaim. We are sowing the seeds of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are sowing the seeds of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith we dare to proclaim. We are sowing the seeds of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are sowing the seeds of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith we dare to proclaim. We are sowing the seeds of love. We are sowing the seeds of love.
Our next speaker is a lifelong Unitarian Universalist. Elandria Williams has served the last 3 years as co-moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association. So national leadership in the most visible and influential of ways. You'll hear Elandria mention that she's going to be the Unitarian Universalist co-moderator for 3 more weeks. She actually filmed this a couple weeks ago, and yesterday on Saturday at our General Assembly, she stepped back from that role after serving faithfully and with such impact and influence for 3 years. In her comments, she will also mention that the congregation that she is a member of experienced a church shooting. You might remember that in Knoxville, the Unitarian Universalist Church there on July 27th, 2008. There was a shooting. 2 members of the congregation were killed. 7 were wounded. And this impacted our guest speaker in a very, very powerful way. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Elandria Williams, who until yesterday was the co-moderator of the entire Unitarian Universalist Association across this country.
So my name is Elandria Williams, the 3rd Black Southerner up on the list. I love Southern people. You don't have any clue how much I love being from the South. It's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, baked potatoes, and turnip greens. So for the next 3 weeks, I'm the co-moderator of the UUA with the Reverend Mr. Barb Grief, and honored to be here with you. Also, am a raised up Unitarian Universalist, and very clear about that fact, and come from the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. which had a church shooting, which is how we got Side with Love in the first place. And so I'm speaking on many different ways as someone that's an organizer, somebody that comes from a church that's been through the ringer over and over again, and somebody that's your co-moderator for the next couple weeks. There's a song that is in my soul right now called Climbing Up the Mountain. And it goes like this. We're climbing up the mountain. We're climbing up the mountain. We're climbing up the mountain. We're climbing up the, it's about we're climbing, right? My asthma's bad, but it's about like what it means to climb up the mountain. We're climbing up the mountain till we reach the top of the hill, right? And I can't even climb right now. I'm on a walker. But the point is, what does it mean for us to climb as a people? What does it mean for us to climb as a society? And what does it mean for us to climb in the ways that mean the most righteous for me and my folks, right? And so I'm going to talk to Black Unitarian Universalists and non-Black Unitarian Universalists and other people, because sometimes we forget that some of us exist in this faith and that I don't need to be told to do something that I already have to do anyway, right? So we're going to do a both and today. So what is important to hold for me right now with 75-year-old parents who are from Alabama and Florida, who have seen the ringer, who got beat up, who got whipped through weigh-ins, who from 14 to 16 and 15 to 18 actually desegregated Alabama, helped desegregate Pensacola, got hurt, and they hurt some people in return, right? So when all people act like they know the civil rights movement was like, I'm like, you might should call somebody and ask them what it was really like if they were really in it. Because what you think you know, you may not know, right? We are in a moment where I got my 21-year-old here and a 5-year-old trying to figure out what does it mean for us to survive as Black people in this moment. And what does it mean that we are doing the same thing over and over again? I have asthma due to being shot at. I have lung problems because of hand grenades and tear gas bombs in this country and other places. When I was 14 years old, I started organizing because of zero tolerance policies and police murdering my friends. I am 40. So when people act like this is new, I'm like, absolutely not. Been doing this work since I was 14 for the same reason young people are in the streets today and been in the streets that whole time. So really essential for us to not act like this is 5 years old, 3 years old, 2 years old. This is a long, long time coming, right? And there have been UUs on the front. There have been UUs as the problem, right? There is no one size fits all story. There are times we've been right there and times we've been like, maybe not. And so sometimes we got to clean our own house, right? So you can't wear your little sizzle shirt out in the street if your home church is a nightmare. If the people of color in your congregation don't feel like they're supposed to be there, you can't go out in the street and be like, I'm ready for you. No, you're not. You think you are. Sounds cute, but you're not really, right? And so I want to say this because we're in a particular moment right now around Gadfly. We're in a particular moment around what kind of faith are we going to be? Are we going to be one that is just around when it's easy? Are we going to be one that really dismantles all the little nooks and crannies, all the stuff that we got to uncover and destroy, right? It's got to drizzle up and die. So I just want to offer, as someone who's an organizer in the world, who is always confused in the UUA, it's like unreal. It doesn't even make sense. We focus on some stuff that I'm like, people dying, yo. Like, why are you consumed with the color of the paint on the wall? Why are you arguing about really little stuff when we got actual stuff happening in the street? So I want to encourage you to take the word peaceful protest away. Just say protest. I want you to encourage that to get in the street and protect my people, right? I want to encourage you that if you have proximity to wealth, to use it right now. I want to encourage you to really think about, we have leverage in some places. How do we build cooperatives? How do we build loan funds? How do we actually do the work that it takes to shift community, not just march? Because I'm going to tell you, the marching ain't going to do it enough. We got to actually transform every fabric of this society. Every piece, from environment to legal to everything. Because we are dying and hurting due to all the things. And so the immense, like my little issue is this, when we know they're all connected, we got to move like they all connected. We got to move from a place of radicalness, not just cute love. I don't need cute love. I need radical love. That is like, my job is to transform this world. And my job is to transform myself. And as Black peoples, it is our job to know that we are worthy. It is everybody's job to know that we are worthy, not just thriving, but worthy of all the things that we are supposed to have. All the ways that we take care of ourselves and each other. And the last thing I want to just say, because I know my time is up and been up, is that it's really important for us to support each other in this moment. It is essential for us to support each other in this moment. It has been a hard 3 years being the moderator of this, co-moderator of this faith. It is really important to support each other, the younger leadership and the leadership of color in this movement. Because if not, we will fester. We will not go the way we went. And I just talked to somebody I met when they were 14 years old. That's like, what are the things I learned from groundwork? What are the anti-racism programs that I learned from? So we got to bring those back. We must bring the anti-racism organizing back. We must bring back youth work, because them young people are now running the institutions in this country and they are running the organizing groups. So we must shift inside and outside and train up our people to go. Thank you. Love you lots.
I leave us with a charge and a challenge from Black Unitarian Universalist Paige Ingram, who is at Ground Zero in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was lynched. Paige Ingram is also an active member of Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. This is Paige Ingram's challenge for us. She says, there must be an acknowledgement of failure. What many are coming to terms with in this moment are the failures that we've had in spite of moments of feeling we've tried our best. Many white Unitarian Universalists have been saying, we hear you and we're with you. But then we turn and look around, and they're not. I think there are many times in many scenarios when some have committed or promised to be standing beside people and have not. Part of this is because we've been making the conversations and the demonstrations and the declarations, a webinar, a Facebook post, a banner. We've been making all of that the work. I will never, ever, ever say that it is not part of the work, but it certainly is not part of the totality of what is necessary. We can no longer say that we don't know what to do. We can no longer make excuses. It's 2020, and you will have receipts. You can't tell your grandchildren that you did something because you'll know that you didn't. Those are Black Unitarian Universalist Paige Ingram's words for us. And these, dear ones, are my words for you. It is time for us to move beyond banners. Let's not make our declarations, our conversations, our webinars, our vigils, our Facebook posts, or our banners. Let's not make that the work. It's part of the work, but there is certainly something necessary beyond that. What is necessary, dear ones, is a complete dismantling of the systems within this city and within this country that oppress and destroy the lives of Black people and other people of color. Are we ready to do the hard work that will be required of us?
Good morning. My name is Karri Gordon, and you may recognize me from various events at church. I taught in YRUU, JRUU. I even substituted for the little ones before. I've attended Chalice Camp, not as a camper, and I am helpful with the first Sunday lunches. Welcome to my home. On my first visit to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, I was impressed, honestly. I could not believe how welcomed I was, and that has not changed in the 7 or so years that my son Caleb and I have attended church. We have been supported during bad times, sad times, catastrophic times, and most importantly, during our joyous times. I have been given so much from my UU family that I feel that money can never repay that. I may not be able to be in the same physical space as my UU family with all that is going on in our world, but you are with me during the Sunday online services, as well as checking up on me and chatting with us during the week. I appreciate this, as I am sure many of you also do. Being included in all that is happening in our world, from celebrating Pride Month, witnessing vigils for the Black Lives Matter movement, and learning about what is happening to others in our UU community, has made the COVID-19's isolation much more bearable. Many of our members cannot participate as we would like, so I understand the importance of being included, even if it is only through technology. I have been facing some medical difficulties during this time, and when I need it the most, it seems as if someone is always there to check up on me. Someone from the UU calls me, sends me a text, or just a little message, and that makes it all worth it. I cannot put a price on that. In order to continue to be all-inclusive, as is our doctrine, the UU Church of Fresno needs continued financial support from all of us, especially those that are not pledging members but watching the service. It is very simple and extremely satisfying. Even I figured it out, which is saying a lot. If only distance learning were this easy. For all of those pledging members who have been making an additional contribution each week, I thank you. The Board of Trustees thanks you, and Reverend Tim thanks you. For those who haven't yet made such a special contribution, I ask that you make this become the morning that you do so for the first time. There are several ways that you can make an offering, including Cash App, PayPal, credit card, or text. A slide will appear with all of this information in just a moment. But first, in the spirit of grateful generosity, will you join me in saying the words of offering? If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Thank you for saying yes and goodbye. I hope to see you again in a safe world. But until then, I look forward to seeing you on the screen again soon.
Hola, and howdy friends. Dani here, and I'm back with a reveal of Reverend Tim's Sunday socks. This week's socks were not competitive at all because they are a celebration of the ACLU settlement with Fresno County that has restored us back to the democratic process. These socks proudly proclaim Black Lives Matter. Women rights are human rights. No human is illegal. Science is real, and love is love. So let's give a celebration for not just Reverend Tim's Sunday socks, but also the messaging that they represent. I do have a few more reminders for everybody. Right after the service, we have social hour, and it's not just for adults anymore. We also have a social hour for kids called Kids Connect. So check out the comments for those links to be posted below. The Freedom Film Series kicks off tonight at 7 o'clock with Reverend Tim. So make sure you check out the different offerings on the July updates tab and the website. And really exciting for me is that every Spirit School family will be getting a binder the week of July 13th to 18th so that they can do our July 20th to 24th Chalice Camp. I will send more information out, but if you are registered for Spirit School, you can be sure that you'll be getting the materials so that you can join us in the community of Chalice Camp. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to the wise and wonderful Patty.
Hello, I'm Patty Bennett, and I'm the coordinator of congregational life here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. I'm delighted to be talking with you this morning. Newcomers are always welcome to participate in our services, and we're glad you're with us today. If you want to stay informed about upcoming classes and other activities of our vibrant church community, you can follow the link in the Facebook chat column and use our connection card to join the list for our weekly email newsletter. If you want more information about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist, you can reach me by email at connections@uufresno.org, or you can leave a message for me on my church phone extension. I'll post this contact information in the chat section, and you can scroll back to it at the end of the service. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Hi, everybody. Here again. I'm Ethan, and welcome back to our home. It has been really great having you with us today.
For the last 2 weeks, Ethan and I have been standing with Reverend Tim, my family, other church members, and the larger interfaith community at our Friday vigils for the Black Lives Matter along Alluvial Avenue. We are glad that we are part of a church that does more than just talk about justice, and I hope that you'll find ways that you can help, that you can join us as we work for justice.
As we end our service and enter into Fresno's very hot afternoon, please join us in our chalice extinguishing words.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope to see you all next week.
Thank you to the Taylor family for inviting us into your homes today and for lighting and extinguishing the chalice. And just want to say especially to Ethan, it's awesome having you part of our youth group, Maddie having you part of our junior youth group, and to the whole family. It's been wonderful standing alongside you at our vigils on Friday for allies of the Black Lives Matter movement. We've reached the end of the service, and it's my pleasure to offer words of closing and benediction to you. So let's take our hands, place them gently on those precious beating hearts. Deep peace of the running waves to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the infinite peace to you. Blessed be. Amen.
Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. In love, go in peace. Shalom and assalamu alaikum.
I'm a young black man, doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to mankind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough trouble. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.